Hello and welcome to today's video about chord tone soloing, key centered soloing, and chord scale soloing. A lot of different ways to improvise on the neck, and obviously starting with what key you're in is a good place to start. That's where most beginners begin. You start off with a pentatonic scale most typically, and you sort of noodle around a bit. You let your ear find some great notes, and then you start learning your full scales. Maybe you learn different positions around the neck, and eventually you're thinking to yourself, this is great that I can solo everywhere on the neck, but I don't really sound like the pros. I don't really feel like my solos have any meaning to them, or they're not very melodic. This is when most guitar players start to think, what else am I missing? What's going on? A couple of great places to start is to use your ear to find notes in the key, and also learning the main melody of whatever song you're trying to play. But there's another step to it, and it's when you involve the chords that are moving in the background. Not simply the key of the song, but you start to think about the chords that are happening. This is going to be where all of your melodicism comes to fruition, and it becomes more challenging because it's a lot more to think about, but it gives your solo some style. So the two different ways in which you can really emphasize the chords are chord scale soloing and chord tone soloing. So the key-centered soloing that I was referring to in the beginning, I'll give a quick example of that. I like to use this app called iReal Pro, which just lets you do like a track on a loop that you can create. This is in the key of C. I've got G, going to G, going to F, going to C. It's two measures of G, F, then C. I'm just gonna solo in the key of C, not think at all about the chords that are changing, and let my ear hopefully figure things out for me. That's enough of that. Cool. So I don't know what your opinion of that was, but for me it felt like not shooting in the dark, but sort of skating on thin ice, maybe is a good way to put it. Sometimes you go for a note when you're doing that and you're not really thinking and you're hoping it's the right one unless you have perfect pitch, but for me I don't. So I liked some of those notes. Some of those notes were just okay. I don't think it was my best solo. I want to give you an example of chord tone soloing now. So what that means is that I'm going to be emphasizing the tones of the chords in the progression. Meaning that if I have a G chord playing, the notes of a G chord are G, B, and D. I'm going to be trying to land on those notes as much as possible when that chord's playing. Then when F comes around, I've got F, A, C. I'm going to do the same thing there. C major, or the C major chord is going to be C, E, G. I'll be emphasizing those notes when that chord comes around. In between, I'm going to utilize the key-centered idea by playing only notes in the key of C. So I'm going to stick to it in that way. You don't have to do that. That's just what I'm going to do to give this example so that we can kind of set up the next example. Here we go. Same idea, but I'm going to emphasize the chord tones. Maybe you like that, maybe you didn't, but I think objectively speaking, I sounded like I was a lot more in tune with the music because I was playing the notes of the chords that were happening in the background. To me, I felt like I was landing on solid ground with every move I made, and I was following along with the band. Now I'm going to show you chord scale soloing. What that means is I'm going to extrapolate, which is a big word that means I'm going to take the chord it says and play more notes that are assumed by that chord. So if I have just G major, I can assume the full G major scale. G major is also the 5 chord here in the key of C, so I can also go, I can play a dominant scale, which is just flattening the 7th. When F comes around, I can play the full F scale, which is going to include a B flat note. The G major scale has an F sharp. Those are 2 notes that aren't in the key of C. F sharp and B flat don't fall in the key of C, but with chord scale soloing, I can play them. And you can be the judge of whether you like the sound or not, but that's the way it goes. To me, it gives it a bit of a jazzy sound. Let's give an example of that. We've got chord scale soloing. I'm going to stick to the standard major scales. I'm not going to do the dominant scale for G. Okay, hopefully you get the idea, and I teach private lessons. I hopefully will post some more videos, so if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this cleared up some confusion. I never really understood the difference. To practice what I'm doing and do it better, I would recommend learning some shapes, some mini chord shapes or full scale shapes around the fretboard. That's super helpful. But like I said, any questions, let me know. Hopefully, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.